Oh. It's actually... Let's see. It's actually not liking Facebook for some reason. We're just gonna forget about Facebook for now. I'll have to get in there and see what's going on Facebook. Facebook's being dumb.
Okay.
But we are, or we should be. Yes, we are live on YouTube. So we got that going.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
We got that going on, and we are good. Yeah, you should open YouTube on your phone or something so you can see the comments. So I don't have to read them to you, man.
Well, I like it when you read them to me.
Well, dude,
I feel important.
It's not your bedtime story. I'm not here to read to you.
But see what I have to do in order to read at all, and it gives me a headache.
Tyler Smith, what's up, Tyler?
Hey, what's up?
Coming in sad after that. Wow, got 5 people already. Arash, good to see you, sir. Paul Hackney, good evening from Arkansas. Good evening, Paul. Man, it's a good start.
That is a good start.
Man,
I would like to.
I've been to Arkansas in, probably like 20 years, man. I need to go to Arkansas and go visit some of their lodges.
We'll be going this year.
Be who?
A few of us are. Well, it'll either be towards the end of this year or at the beginning of next year to crash Brad's party.
Brad? Which Brad?
Kohanke.
Kohanke. What party is he having in Arkansas?
Well, let me just. I'll talk to you about it later.
Oh, okay. Is Brad from Arkansas?
I'm sorry. No.
Okay. Got you. Yeah, we'll come over sometime, man.
But he goes up there a lot, and I want to go to the Ozarks. I'd like to have a retreat at the Ozarks, and man, I'd like to have a Masonic improvement retreat in the Ozarks.
You know, I was actually saying
if we can get up to Arkansas and do that, that would be awesome.
A retreat would be really good, I think. I was actually thinking, I don't know, right? Who'd have thought? But if you look at a lot of organizations. Let me back up. So, like, what we do, we focus a lot on like esoteric education and organizational stuff like that. But we don't do like any kind of motivational or like team building or anything like that. And I think that would be beneficial for us as well as a lot of lodges. So yeah, like a retreat where we do like some motivational stuff and maybe some team building or something. Not really like a deep dive like esoteric or anything. Not like the event is that we're going to have in September, but something that's still worth coming to, a little lighter.
Well, no, but we'll have some light stuff there too. It won't be just esoteric. We'll have some motivational stuff there as well. Yeah. Yep. More like mentorship in the lodge and motivational, guarding the Westgate kind of stuff, motivational as well, to keep our spirits up and keep us focused on what's important instead of all the BS we've been seeing lately.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that. But I think some kind of like just positivity. A lot of organizations do that just to keep people inspired, to hey, what we're doing is important, what we're doing is good. We don't really have that. We don't have any motivational events or anything like that. In fact, the last big event I went to was pretty demotivational. So I think we need something to kind of combat that.
Right. Well, you saw the post that I put up for us today saying, let us be real clear. We're not talking about this a lot, but this is where we stand. Yeah. Look at the last 3 pictures and you know exactly what's on our mind and who is on our mind and who we truly love and support.
Yeah. Devin McLean is here. Austin White is here, both of whom are members. Welcome, brothers. Tyler Smith said,
brothers.
Last time, I think he's talking about Arkansas. Last time I was there, I got tricked into spending hours digging in an empty field looking for diamonds. And
I did it too.
Was that the Crater Diamonds or whatever? Is that the?
Yes.
Man, we went there too.
And my kids were so muddy. We had to put some off water hoses before we all got back in the car.
And this was before we even had kids, and I was miserable. I was like, man, this sucks. I'm just digging around in gravel in 100-degree heat. It was not fun.
That's because you're just a weirdo. That's a kid project, not an adult project. That's that's
Okay.
where you just let your kids run around and play in the mud and have fun, and you just sit
Well,
there and watch them.
what I like rocks, dude. I originally went to college for
I do.
geology, and so I really like rocks. I'm a rock nerd. But yeah, even after that, after a while, I was like, man, this just sucks. I'm not 100% sure they don't just import gravel and dump it there, just to have people something to dig through. So who knows?
That is so bad. No, they
Dan
don't.
Dan Best is here, and he said, "Hello. I want to thank the both of you for all the help. Tomorrow night is his first meeting at the lodge. If you remember Dan Best, he was I forget what state you're in, Dan, but he was having some
I
trouble.
do remember. Yeah,
So
he was having trouble getting a hold of his lodge, and we talked to some people there, and then not to his lodge, but actually to one of the Grand Lodge members.
yeah,
We mentioned it to him, and lo and behold, not too long after, Dan got the man. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you.
yeah. I look forward to hearing how your first visit goes. It's
Yeah,
pretty
just
exciting.
get to know the brothers and see how it all plays out.
And keep in mind,
Right
and
now,
I know we said this, but don't feel locked into the first lodge you visit, right? Like if you go and it's just not what you're expecting, or maybe you're just not clicking with everybody, check out some of the other lodges in your area. I know this seemed like it was a lot of trouble to get in the door on this one, but that's not typically, at least from my experience, that's not typically the norm. It's usually a lot easier to get in there and start talking with people.
right.
So don't feel like it's all or nothing with this one you're visiting. That's my point. I'm clicking over looking for something real quick. Austin White says miss seeing y'all recently. Yeah, we it's been a weird couple weeks, so we haven't done like a live like this in a while. I've been sick. My family's been sick. Nothing serious, just enough to keep me from doing anything. So, and Dennis, all the streaming stuff's it kind of the ball's in my court as far as that goes. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just one of those things because it's him. For me, it's not one of those things. I'm sorry, guys. I really wanted to connect to you, but you know, since Mr. Millennial here is is sickly all the time. Just kidding.
I'm typing.
I just put on Facebook and on I put it on our Masonic Improvement Facebook as well as the Texas Freemasons Facebook page that we are live on the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
So if any of y'all wouldn't mind while you're watching us, go ahead and go over there and click
please.
Yes, so that or like it so that other people will see it and see that we did go live, but it's on YouTube instead.
Yep.
Because the Book of Faces, they're good for regular advertising, but going live, they're just like it's just censorship. That's all it is.
Well, it was copyright. They automatically heard music, so they
well, yeah, it. but still they make money through YouTube. That's the thing, is that they make money through YouTube by having that on YouTube, right? They've had 2.3 million viewers on YouTube. Don't tell me they didn't make something from YouTube for putting that official video on there from Metallica and from I did it through all the artists, right? From Metallica, from Motley Crue, from Jimmy Buffett. But that doesn't matter, I guess. That doesn't matter. So here we are.
So we had
I would like to go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm reading up on something. We had a question.
Okay. Let's do
a few comments, really. First of all, so I'd like to comment just the link for the membership. We have quite a few members. I think we're at 17 right now, putting out more content on a regular basis. That last video with Sean Rothberg about Kabbalah, man, if you watch the free version, that's 20 minutes of a 3-hour video, right? And so a lot of people were commenting. Hey, I want more of this. There's more of it, man. There's more of it. If you become a booster or higher, you have access to that. And so it's well worth it. And there is a ton of extra content from all the recent videos. I mean, I edit them heavily to make them front facing, but the majority, like the bulk of it, I just leave it pretty much uncut and post that for members only. So it's a huge benefit. So okay, there's an Alpha X Omega. He says, "What do you guys think of Moorish science? Have you ever heard of Moorish science?"
Moorish science?
Yeah.
Or Morse?
Moorish, Moorish.
I'm not familiar with Moorish science. I'll definitely look it up now, though.
Well, yeah, I haven't heard of it until just now, and I mean I'm seeing what Wikipedia is saying about it, but
what is it saying?
So the Moorish Science Temple of America is an American national and religious organization founded by Noble Drew Ali in the early 20th century. He based it on the premise that African Americans are descendants of the Moabites and thus are Moorish by nationality and Islamic by faith.
Hey, I say more power to you.
Oh, I mean, I don't have an opinion.
I don't know the history, so
I don't think your origin dictates your faith, regardless. Right. But yeah, it's the first time I've heard of it. I don't have otherwise an opinion on that.
You know, really though, that's an American opinion, that your origin doesn't dictate your faith, because in a lot of Middle Eastern and European countries, it's like that, to where you're so heavily. It's such a heavy. Well, it's kind of like in certain areas of different cities, you have people that the same races or religions tend to kind of group together in a certain area of the city. Yeah. I know in Richardson they started after the Islamic temple was built, all of a sudden they started buying up these little 3/4 acre lots and tearing down the little wooden houses and building these mega McMansions that 3 or 4 families would live in, that went to that that Muslim temple. So that that's just kind of how things happen in a lot of places.
That's interesting. So I did a DNA, one of those where you smell your spit, and basically I'm Swedish.
I've got
from not Swedish, yeah, but from that area. So I guess I should be following the Norse gods or something based off that.
I know, me too.
I'm Nordic.
But then again, I do have blonde hair, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Go Chiefs, by the way, Dennis.
Hey, I don't want to hear anything because I haven't finished watching it yet. Don't anybody say anything about the scores.
So yeah, so apparently what happened is right at like crunch time, the Cowboys actually rushed the field and scored the one and only touchdown the entire year, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. So yeah,
yay, go Cowboys!
Devin McLean says, "I get the old bashing on the younger generation treatment, but honestly, it doesn't bother me too much. I've heard it all. It's just Dennis. I don't even listen to what he says usually. It doesn't bother me."
What?
Just an old guy.
You're talking about me being old?
Just an old guy griping.
By
the way, we have 12 viewers right now and 4 likes, and so I would request actually, if you're hanging out with us, please go ahead and smash that like button. That helps the algorithm, and also if you haven't subscribed, shame on you. Please be sure to do so. Mats is here. Yay! Justin is a Viking. Yes. I love to pillage and plunder. So that explains it, man. That's why it's in my nature. I just want to. Every time I get on the river, I just want. Every time I see something on the side of the,
I know.
I get on the river and I see a small settlement. I just want to pull over and just set fire to it and take all their stuff. Yeah. Conquer it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here, I wanna talk about something that's been heavy on my mind, and you and I started this conversation, and it went to a whole different conversation.
So let's be sure it doesn't on live.
Exactly.
I know what
We're
you're
not
talking
going to do
about.
that. But I would like to talk about, Masonry versus Freemasonry. You know, Masonry, and so so many of us for so long have said, "Oh yeah, I'm a Mason." Are you really? Are you really a Mason? I mean, do you really mess with cement and use bricks and lay foundations and build buildings? Are you really a Mason? I don't think so. You're a Freemason because you're speculative. You're free and accepted Mason. So we got to get back to that, guys. I feel like we've gone into when we started leaving the free off of Masonry. We went into a laxed feel for our lodges, a laxed reverence for what we were there to do, and what our role in this fraternity as well as in the world actually is. Because when we become just just some drone worker bee, then all we're doing is running on instinct, just running on the same old every day. And yeah, we may be good, we may be nice people, we may have integrity, whatever. But hell, anybody can do that. We're supposed to be teaching ourselves, learning, educating ourselves, building up our mind and our spirit in and taking that out to the world, being the leaders of our world, um, to make it a better place. But are we really doing that if we just consider ourselves Masons? I'm a master Mason. I'm a Freemason.
Mm.
And I believe that my value is so much more than just that of a worker in the quarry. Not that I'm afraid to work. I've been blue collar, gone white collar, and the white collar is only on my end. I still do blue collar work, but the because I wanted better for myself and my family and to be able to contribute to my community. I started investing in properties. I started investing in the church. I started investing in the lodge. I started investing in my community. I really started investing in my community. And now, every freaking election that comes up, I was on the planning and zoning commission, all that kind of stuff. And now every council thing that comes up, every vote that comes up, they want me to run for something. They keep saying, "We want you in there. We want you in there." It's golly, but I'm working so hard at all this other stuff right now. I don't think I'd be able to give my best to them.
Yeah.
What do you think about that thought?
Um, let me address a few things real quick, and then I'll give you my thought because I don't want the chat to get away from us, right?
Okay. Yeah.
First of all, Paul Hackney just became a member. Congratulations, Paul. Thanks for
Thank
hopping
you,
on.
Thank you.
You now have access to a growing library of exclusive content. So glad to see you, and definitely appreciate your support. Writer Artist says that makes sense. I always think of free, especially run into biasly dogmatic brothers. I came to Freemasonry as a free thinker who loves God and respects everyone's path.
Right.
YB Fadden. YB and oh, that's Kadeem. What's up, Kadeem? And then okay, so I'm gonna. There was a comment that was interesting.
Why is he so incognito now?
Who? Kadeem?
Kadeem.
He's not
You're
incognito.
just so popular now. You're incognito.
Oh, is that what he
his
said?
Thing used to say his deal used to say low key or something like that. Yeah. Remember? He keeps changing his name.
And the Dead Best says, I do have a question. The person that's helping me warns me to stay offline. Should we stay away from live streams like this and other videos? That's Dan Best. Dan, really, this is fine because we're not really. Here's why we give that advice, because there's a lot of bad advice out there. There's a lot of bad information out there. It's very easy to go to YouTube and go down this rabbit hole of misinformation that a lot of people go down, right? And so the reason that we give that advice is if you're interested in joining, basically don't jump on YouTube and go down this rabbit hole that's going to mislead you, because there's as much good information as there is out there. There's also probably 10 times as much misinformation and bad information out there.
Yes.
This is fine. Dennis and I are Masons. We're not going to mislead anybody, but there is a lot of.
And we're not going to give you any secrets or anything like that. And that's part of what they're concerned of. But then it also, if you think about it, Justin. You mean that was one of your first topics I ever remember is the rites of passage. And if you get online and start reading about this rite of passage that you're fixing to go into, it's really going to ruin it for yourself, because you won't enjoy it as much as when you feel it, see it, do it all at the same time for the first time. Yeah. So really, don't rob yourself. Seriously. Yeah. And what we talk about is more just how we feel about Freemasonry. It's not really. It's nothing that's going to dampen what you're fixing to go through, which is very awesome. Yep. I'm glad you had that guy tell you that.
Yeah.
That's a very wise thing to say.
So I'm not trying to take away from your conversation, but the chat's blowing up, so I just want to be sure we're addressing everything.
Yeah, let's do it real quick.
Thomas Smith says you don't want to ruin the surprises, which is what we were talking about. Jason Rockenberg says he sins to spend a lot of money to be a Freemason. Yeah. James Kirkpatrick is here. Welcome, James. Always a pleasure to have you, sir. Charles Smith says, when someone warns you to stay offline, that means take what you hear with a grain of salt. There's so many fake posts and bad info out there. Yeah. Jonte Thackeray, these chat streams are the Wild West, that's for sure. God bless you for having the balls to show up. Yeah. They can be the Wild West for sure.
They can be.
Yeah.
Our private sessions can be even wilder. That's scary.
Yeah. So, to go back to what you're saying. Oh, wait, there was one thing. Alpha Omega said something. And I don't want to sidetrack the conversation, but this is something that I had thought about before and have heard before. And so, let me find it. But he basically, and I'm not trying to be contradictory here. I'm just, the mark of an educated mind is the ability to entertain ideas without being offended by it, right? Exactly. And so he says Jesus was a Mason. And so here's the argument for this.
Jesus was a carpenter.
Well, hold on. And we're talking operative. Here's the thing. If you look at the area that Jesus lived in, right? There were trees, but not a whole lot of it. And if you look at most of the structures, they're made out of brick, right? Allegedly, and I can't tell you if this is true or not, but allegedly, if you look at the old text, like the original language, it says that Jesus was a builder. He built things. It doesn't specifically say that he was a carpenter. And so the argument is that he was actually a mason, and he built things out of stones. I don't know if that's legitimate or not, but it's a interesting
it's an
mental exercise.
Now,
does it change anything? I don't think so.
What I'd like to point out about Jesus is that he was 33 years old when he became the Son of God, the Savior.
Which is how many vertebrae you have. The number 33 is just an interesting number. Because then if you're talking about how many vertebrae you have, you start talking about chakras, and that's a whole rabbit hole.
We don't need to go down your rabbit. We're going down my rabbit.
Oh, okay. So, run, rabbit.
So Jesus was called the rabbi, right? He was called the master. He was called the teacher. Jesus, the reason why he was all those things is because he understood Kabbalah. I firmly believe that. And he wasn't supposed to, based on Jewish rules, which we learned about when we talked to Sean. There's so many rules and things you have to do exactly right, and you have to be married, you have to have children, you have to be 40, you have to have already learned every word in every one of these books first before you can learn about the mysteries of Kabbalah, which is ancient it's the ancient mystery school
Well,
of Judaism, right? Well, I think the reason Jesus was able to do what he was able to do is because he understood it. Because if you understand Kabbalah, you understand the universe.
I think that Jesus actually traveled east during this missing period of time. He traveled east and then returned back with eastern
Up to the salt,
Eastern
up to the
knowledge.
salt, up through the salt, the what is that? The
The Silk Road.
Dead Sea. Yeah, Dead Sea.
I don't
Up near
know.
the
Uh,
to the Essene. I
if you
think he went there as well as
if you compare the Old Testament, and I'm sorry, this is totally not the scope of what we usually talk about, but it's interesting to me.
right.
If you compare the Old Testament to the teachings of Jesus, Jesus kind of takes a 180 on some things, right? He comes across a lot of things he teaches sounds more Buddhist than Old Testament,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's what I believe, but I am saying it is interesting if you look at some of the Buddhist teachings and some of the things Jesus talks about compared to the Old Testament.
Well, and that goes back to ancient teachings because you can attach all of that to the mystery of Kabbalah and as well as Hermetic principle. All that can tie in together to sound exactly like what you're saying. That
Yeah.
it seems Buddhist. There sometimes it'll seem Hindu. Sometimes it at different times, different religions come out in Jesus's talks for sure.
Yeah.
That's why I believe that God is too big for.
James says Buddha would not be a good referee, but he would be a great offensive lineman. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, going back to the original, doing a complete 360 180 here, talking about the Freemasonry. We kind of had this talk before, and I think there is a big difference. Like I think there's a big difference between a dues paying member and an actual Freemason, if that makes sense. Especially kind of where we're coming to what I hope is the end of an era where we didn't really guard our West Gate. And so you have a lot of people that probably should not be Masons, but they are, right? And they have a card that they could get into your lodge with and say, "Hey, I'm a Mason." Are they?
As long as they keep paying for it, they get to keep it.
Yeah. Are they Freemasons? No, I don't think so, right? But are they paying dues? Will they come support a fundraiser? Of course they will. Of course they will. But are they going to show up for the esoteric conversations? Are they going to really dig deep?
Are they going to contribute? Yes.
Yeah. No. And honestly, if push comes to shove, are they going to, or even better yet, after they've been a member for 20 or 30 years, are they going to act like they've learned anything from the teachings? Probably not. Right? Wait, I just saw something. Oh, it's Charles Smith. I thought I saw Skip Smith for a second. But Charles Smith says there are several books that were not included in the Bible, the book of Joseph specifically, that explain the age gap of Jesus in the Bible. He was learning to control unending power of faith. Yeah. And is that the one where he accidentally kills a kid and brings him back? Yeah, I mean, I like I'm saying, it's very possible.
Unending power. I mean, that can come from Kabbalah. I'm telling you.
But only if you're Jewish, according to Sean Rothberg. Where's Sean at, by the way? Why is he not here? I'm disappointed.
Only if you know the rules.
Yeah.
And I told Sean that. I told him. He said, "So you think you're a Kabbalist?" I said, "No, I'm just trying to learn something, and I don't have to follow your rules."
Yeah.
Shlaka.
Tyler Smith says, "Brother Skip, would be quite the pleasure. You can't speak to him and not learn something." I would actually like to. So we're talking about Skip Smith. I'd actually like to. It wouldn't be an interview, just because I don't think a Zoom would work for reasons. But I would like to set him down in the lodge room one day. Not in the lodge room, in the dining area, and kind of like we did at the Fort Worth
Yeah,
Temple.
just have a round table.
Just have a discussion and record it. But he is extremely knowledgeable. Yeah, I love Skip. Skip's a great guy. And hopefully he'll be at our Your Crap meeting tomorrow. Because every time he shows up, there's always great education.
By the way, you are bringing guys down to Seguin on the 25th, correct?
For what? I can't keep
festival.
up. Seguin?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Seguin.
So, I'll tell you, and it's not really something that's like public, but I'll go ahead and tell you since I'm talking to you and anyone from Seguin.
But we're on live.
Yeah. So actually, my father-in-law is going in this week for have some cancer removed from his pancreas, and so like I don't know how the rest of my month's going to look. So tomorrow I'm going.
Everything's going to be on hold.
Tomorrow I'm going to my York Rite, and then I'm going to go to AMD on the 18th, I think, at Hillsboro. But other than that, I can't do much, if that makes sense. Just because my wife's going to be... So my mother-in-law's dead. My wife has no siblings. There's no cousins or anything like that. So it's him and her on that side. And so he's going to be in the hospital and she's going to be with him. And I'm going to be with my kids. And that's going to keep me from doing a lot of things. So...
Well, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And yeah, I appreciate all that. Yeah, everybody. Thank you. But... and not to air laundry or anything, because I'm a private guy, but just so you... If anyone, because a lot of you guys are from Texas, and you're wondering why I'm not showing up to things, that's kind of why it's been quiet lately. We got some stuff going on. So Austin White says, some of the mindset y'all are talking about are how lodges operate too. There's too many members focused on title, prestige, and not getting enlightenment or making those around them better. Oh, absolutely. You could even say that maybe applies to larger organizations in the Masonic realm.
Well, yeah, we have 1,200. We have over 1,200 members in the San Antonio Valley, and yet we only get 30 to 40 members show up for our CME in person class, which that's pretty good for an education deal to have that many people always show up every month. But look at the percentage. Over 1,200, and yet we only have that many show up for our CME. So that says.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you finished.
No, I was just. It's the same percentage in most lodges as well, probably.
Devin McLean says, unfortunately, I've already found out some lurking racists, which is quite off-putting when you're sitting next to them. Yeah, we actually. So one of my districts, the one I'm a district instructor in, is very small. It's rural. It's very country. And we had an African-American man that wanted to petition one of the really country lodges because he had friends that were a member there. And it was a really big concern. Like, are we going to encounter some closet racists? Like, when he gets his petition turned in, are people going to show up out of the woodwork to keep him out? And never was a problem. Like, we were understandably cautious, but it was unnecessary. And I was very happy to know that in my district, that's not an issue.
And that's a good story. But on the other hand, I've been called by people asking for help because they were forced out of their lodge because they wanted to visit Prince Hall lodges, and they wanted Prince Hall lodges to visit them because it's allowed now, right? So we recognize him, and so we can do that. Because he wanted to do that, his lodge all but told him to get the hell out. They changed the lock, they changed the code, they changed the code to the building. He was a junior pass master. Yeah,
you know what you do? You shake the dust off your feet and go to a different lodge because they're not worth it.
And he did.
Yeah,
and he did. But that's just BS, and that should not be happening in today's Freemason at all. A Freemason wouldn't do that.
Yeah, Tyler Smith says in Hillsboro we have about 40 members. I think. Well, we're probably 40 dues paying members. I think we have more than 40 members, but about 40 dues paying members, and 20 or so show up. So that's I mean, I think it's probably more closer to 30% than 50%, but it's still a good turnout. We get a lot of visitors.
Well, we do too. We stay full.
Yeah. Charles Smith says Masonry has many facets. If someone wants to be a Mason in name, only let them. But don't cater to them or tailor the lodge experience to them. Do it for excited brothers seeing Masonry to the fullest. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you seek to appease the lowest common denominator, then you'll never raise the bar in your lodge, right? You got to keep challenging people. Hey, this is what we're doing. Challenging them to think outside the box. Challenging them to help out, contribute. Justin Schultz from Hillsborough is coming down to Seguin York Rat Festival. Okay, good. That's really
good. And bring people if you can.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that it makes a big impression on our area, because in San Antonio, my York Rite is actually doing a school of instruction, but it's always been that.
We're going to do one, hopefully.
Well, it's always been at the same time, but it conflicted with this festival.
Yeah.
And so we won't have the full support of San Antonio or some of the members in other areas. We won't have that full support because they'll be over there helping with the School of Instruction.
Yeah,
some of the old timers that would normally be doing the degrees for us.
We're talking about doing a School of Instruction at Hillsborough. We'll probably discuss that tomorrow. We're having just so we only meet quarterly, but we have called meetings every month, just kind of to practice and stuff. So, yeah, we'll probably talk about that. There was a question. Let me find it. Dan Best. Would it be appropriate... let me just read what it says. I do have another question, if it's okay. Would it be appropriate for me to ask questions when I go to lodge tomorrow? Is there anything I need to stay away from talking about?
Not really.
Not really. I'll say this, though, I've talked to people before where they came or recited, and they came across as kind of nutty. So ask yourself before you ask the question, could this be perceived as a little bit nutty? Then maybe don't ask it, right? Like if you start, it's like, is there really a map on the back of the Declaration of Independence? Do we worship the devil? Things like that. Maybe stay away from that, just because it sounds like it sounds like maybe you drank some Kool-Aid you shouldn't have had.
Right. Well, and another thing is, if they try to lure you into speaking about your preferences in politics or religion, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Just leave it blank. Say, I believe in democracy. May the best man win. And as far as faith, everybody should be allowed to have their own. That's because in some areas they'll try to ask those kind of questions just to get you started on a path that you really don't want to be on.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's just a test. And that's
yeah.
That's not one of our questions, but it's it's whenever I talk to people, I talk more about everything than just the questions on the sheet.
Yeah. Devin McLean says about 30 out of 300 show up where he's at, and yeah, it's actually something I want to talk about, but we'll get to that in a second. Yeah. So what I was thinking is I was actually talking to Justin Schultz, since that was brought up earlier today, about York Rite stuff, and so. Like, anyone that knows me knows I'm not big on fundraising. I just don't believe that's a good use of our time. But I don't mind charity. Yeah. I think charity is a good thing. Like, we raised money for a local, basically like an orphanage, like a local orphanage. And then just some other kids, like some local churches. So we had some brothers that have been working with churches in the area for a long time to identify children in need. And yes, taking gifts to their house,
do that as well.
Discreetly, like taking it to their door and just leaving, right? So no credit or anything like that. And we did that for the first time last year, but it wasn't a fundraiser. It was, hey, adopt a kid or two, buy the gifts or donate the money, and that will go to the kids, right? Like someone will buy the gifts, or the gifts will get packaged and go directly to the kids. And my point is, so we were talking. We also did like postcards for veterans around Christmas. Like we just bought postcards and took them to like our churches and whoever, and had people sign them, and we're sending those to the veterans. But where I'm going, my point is, I think it's very healthy to have goals, something that you can unite behind. And if you want to do a fundraiser, like 1 or 2 big fundraisers a year, and that's just been what you've always done, and you want to keep doing that, sure, fine. Be sure it's going towards the right thing, right? It should not be covering your bills. But I think a lot of the lodges
building expenses.
Yeah.
Building expenses are your bills.
But I think a lot of lodges that are struggling, reach out to local organizations and find out how you can help them. Work together, because not only are you helping your area and supporting local organizations, and this isn't why you should be doing it, but you're also exposing the fraternity to men that may not otherwise see it, right? They may not otherwise be involved with it or have an opportunity to work along.
And that's why I think they're so heavy on all the fundraising, is they think it's a marketing thing. I'm sorry, Justin, I don't like that approach. I don't think it's a good marketing.
What are you talking about?
I think it's...
Sorry, I was reading chat. Sorry.
Seeing the exposure.
Oh, no.
Seeing the exposure of you raising money or whatever. I think that exposure is just...
No, so that's not...
We're just asking them for money.
So to be clear, no, that's not what I'm suggesting. I know where you're going. So I'm not saying...
Clear it up for the other guys.
Okay. I'm not saying that, hey, we raised $1,000 for these kids and put a whole bunch of packages and take a whole bunch of pictures in front of it and say like, hey, this is what we did. I don't think that's charity. Don't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if I'm working with the children's home, right, the men in that organization begin working with the Masons in my organization, right? They may not know anything about Masonic Lodge or the Masons, but by working together, you build those relationships. Right, maybe one day they'll petition. I'm not saying that's why you should do it, but I'm saying we always complain that we don't have influential people joining our organization or anything like that anymore. Well, these people are involved in their community, not necessarily in the Masonic Lodge, but they're involved. So if you're assisting your Lions Club or religious organizations, and I'm not saying you're advocating that religion, but you can advocate the cause for sure. But just by interacting with these organizations, you create a stronger front for good, I think.
Right.
But yeah, right. You're not doing it for publicity. And in fact, the whole thing with the kids, this is probably the first time it's ever been brought up. But because we didn't do it for the publicity, we never made a post about it or anything. It was all discreet. And the kids to this day, they don't know where the gifts, and the families don't even know where the gifts came from. It could have been with the local churches. It could have been CASA. It could have been any number of organizations. The point is, children that would not have gotten gifts got gifts, right? They got clothes, they got toys, they got puzzles and games that they would not have otherwise had. And that's, at the end of the day, all that matters.
Another idea for like a charity event is, you've got a bunch of men right there in your lodge, and men that have different skills.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take a lot of skill to scrape and paint a house. One of the things that was started in Goliad in my church, through my church anyways, was every year we pick out 3 houses, and the men of the church go and do minor repairs to the house, and then the kids come and scrape it and paint it. And so every year 3 families get their most valuable investment, properly maintained to help the community.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't cost all that much to do that for 3 houses. It costs around $1,500 in materials. We get paint given to us by Sherwin-Williams. They donate the paint to us now. They didn't at first, but now they do every year. and they give us brushes and scrapers and all kinds of stuff for the kids. You know, it's not that hard to really strike up something that can really impact your community, just with a little bit of elbow grease, just a little bit.
It goes back to a story that I experience that I shared a few times. That was with the student council at my old school that I worked at. It had nothing going on, right? People would show up. Some of the people would show up when we had meetings, but we weren't working towards anything, right? And once we started identifying, hey, this month we're doing this month we're doing this, not fundraising, but just things we're focusing on. This is our focus this month. This is our focus this month. It totally changed everything. And we're just talking about quarterly stuff at our York, right? We're just talking about quarterly goals. And then we're working on getting a commandery. And if and when we get a commandery back at Hillsboro, then we're going to split that. So the commandery will take on the veteran stuff that we're doing, and then the youth focus will remain with chapter council. But the point is, like, we have that. That's our focus, and it's not fundraiser driven. It's just charity driven. Just being charitable, getting involved in our community, and helping out.
Right.
Let's see. Let's back up and look at some of these comments here. There was something that was interesting. Tyler Smith says, at the same time, we have to make ourselves seen as a force of good. I understand that's the sliminess that comes with fame seeking, but 20 people could only do so much as a group. I mean, yeah. Here's the thing, and I don't disagree with you, but also the things that we do outside the lodge go a long way, right? For example, I'm on a EDC board for a local community economic development, and we just we're funding the local youth association, so they don't have to raise money to mow the place and upkeep it, and they can do some maintenance. That's good. That's a good thing. That gives children a safe place to play games, and it helps the community because it brings in a lot of people from outside the community. And so, dang, sorry, but my point is, yeah, there's only so much 20 people can do, but that don't by any means discount that, because one person could do a lot just by being involved also.
I painted a whole house by myself.
Yeah.
I understand there's only so much 20 can do, but we have 20 kids at each one of the house, and those are kids. And so, because we always have about 60 to 80 kids show up to do this, and it takes 3 days for 20 kids to scrape and paint a house.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a weekend with 20 dedicated men that know what they're doing.
So there was a comment earlier, and it was interesting to me. Again, it was Alpha Omega. And he said, people, or she, I don't even know, but they said people worship the devil without even realizing it. Now, there's a few thoughts I have on that, right? And I don't necessarily disagree, but I will say, and I've said this before, you can't worship anything without realizing it, in my opinion, right? It's like you have these anti-Masons, and they're like, well, you guys, you pray to the grand architect, and that's really the devil. You just don't know it. Well, no, you can't pray to something accidentally, right? So when someone says grand architect, I think of God. Someone else may think of Allah. But it's your own unique praying. So I do disagree that you can worship something without knowing it. But I do think people do glorify the devil without knowing it, right? And I'll just be honest. I think a lot of those people are in Hollywood. I think a lot of them are glorifying evil things. Maybe they don't, right? But
well, when everything that you watch is some kind of stupid drama that, you know, just focuses on the negative of the world instead of the positives of the world. Even they try to give it a positive spin at the end, but it's not. It's a negative reality of the world. You know, I don't know. I get enough reality of the world just by living in the world. I don't care to watch it on TV. I don't want to see somebody else's opinion on it.
Yeah. Tyler Smith says, but we could use our platform to bring hundreds of people together to accomplish more. If you had 30 people instead of 20, you could have painted 20 houses. Yeah. I mean, yeah, with more people, you could do more. Absolutely. With more money, you could do more. I don't disagree. But it's also about, for one, it's about being sure that you don't go outside the parameter of your organization, right? So, yeah, you could do more with more people, but that doesn't mean that you lower your standards to get more people.
Right. That's where we run into the problem.
Or that you get so focused on fundraising that you forget the actual purpose of your organization, which I've seen before. And I'm not saying that's what you're suggesting. I'm just saying it's a slippery slope when you start saying, hey, with more people and more money, we can do more things. Sure, but then you start focusing on the wrong things to get more money and more people. But I think if you do the right thing, right, with what you have, and focus on the positivity, right, of the good that you do, then people will come to you, and you will inadvertently have more of the right kind of people and the right kind of resources. I'm a member of a lodge. I'm a member of a lodge that every time that they meet every week, the worship master complains. He's scrapping about how high the endowments are and how no one shows up for practice and yada yada yada. No one cares. No one's going to show up for that, right? If you're just going to grab and be negative, no one's going to show up. You focus on what you have, the resources you have, and be positive about it.
Yeah, I'd also like to say.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab a cough drop. Keep talking.
Yeah, go ahead. I'd also like to say on the community thing, we have several large community members of our lodge, large members of the community that are members of our lodge, and they just simply don't come. And the reason why is because of the way the Masons have taken away the Freemason. These are very intelligent people that live and on a high level. People, and I'm not, and don't get me wrong, and Justin's coming in at just the right time. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that our membership is not intelligent, okay? But what I'm saying is that we do have several members of our community that are members of our lodge that will not come to our lodge because what they hear downstairs during the dinners and what they see going on in the lodge is ignorant. But not by everybody, but by some people. And these people that are more successful in business and more successful in the things that they do and whatever they do, the people that are more successful are the high level achievers that expect more than what they can already do on their own, right? So you get a guy that's a CEO of a company coming into some podunk lodge that could give two shits about painting the walls, and he's going to take one look and say, "This isn't for me. I'm not here to save this. I'm here to do Freemasonry. I'm not here to fight with these people on how to save themselves from themselves." So
yeah,
that's the reality, and that's the community involvement that we should have. Is we should have the council members, planning and zoning members, the sheriff's department, the sheriff himself, the judges. These people should be in our lodge because they're the biggest contributors to our community. And how better could they contribute to the community than learning the principles behind the words of Freemasonry?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it all starts with guarding the West Gate. Are we just letting anybody in that can afford the dues, or are we looking for high level achievers that are gonna help us?
And a lot of lodges, anyone can afford the dues. James Kirkpatrick says, my favorite definition of worship is a feeling of expression feeling or expression of reverence and adoration for a deity. Yeah, it's worship.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But specifically for a deity, right? So it's not right. You can't trick somebody into worshiping your god by giving it a different name, right? Because people are going to worship whatever. It's in here. It's internal. It's an internal act.
Well, and And I would also like to say that maybe with what he was referring to about people worshiping the devil and not knowing it is the name Lucifer, which is the bringer of light. He was the angel that was stricken down or whatever. But Lucifer is actually the term for bringer of light.
Well, Lucifer's not even an angelic name.
Right. But somewhere I read that Lucifer, maybe it's in Latin, the way it's written in Latin, is bringer of light. Mm-hmm. That's what Lucifer means. Yeah. And I bet we can look it up in the dictionary right now and show you.
I've looked it up before. I think it's either Latin or Greek. I think it's Latin.
Yeah, but so many people say that that's the devil or that's Satan or whatever. Is there really the devil, or is there just positive and negative on God's nature of God's nature? Is there, because of course there has to be balance in all things to function properly. So I would say that God is all things, and
Lucifer is to bring light or bring to light, but it's from Latin to English. Yeah, it's along those lines. But also historically, the ancients called Venus Lucifer because it was the last star on the horizon before the sun rose. So it was called the light bringer because it was there before the sun came up.
Yes. So that's where a lot of people get the misconception of us being devil worshippers and stuff like that out of that one word that was in Morals and Dogma in one sentence, and they say that we're devil worshippers.
Well, yeah. There's some good comments. Due to the limited nature of human perception, we created different flavors of interpretation of what is known as God. You don't know because I hadn't said it yet, but I think I think if you look at the basic precepts of every religion, they all have a common denominator, right? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you call your deity, or it doesn't matter what you like. We talked with Sean, and I'm not calling out Sean, but he's talking about like the specifics you have to do as a Jewish person every day. Like it's all laid out for you, right? This day you do this day you can't do that, so on and so forth. I don't think the day to day, the things that we fight over, basically, I don't think those are really relevant. But when you die and you're in the ground, I don't think that's what determines where your soul goes. I think the common truths that every religion has. Did you abide by that? Were you a good person? Most religions say something along the lines of treat your your neighbors the way you want to be treated. Were you a good human? Did you treat other people well? Did you is the world a better place than it was before you got there because of your actions? And I think those are the kind of things that elevate you, that level you up spiritually, and get you ultimately whatever you believe in, right? I think that's what gets you where you need to be.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly. That's why I will never tell anyone their religion is false or anything like that.
But that's why I don't care if, as a Mason, if you're Jew or if you're Muslim, or I've been friends with Mormons. I don't.
Right.
I wouldn't say I don't care.
There's a lot of Mormon things.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Unless you're trying to push your beliefs on me, which no one ever has, and I certainly wouldn't do that to anyone else.
Right.
Why do we have to disagree?
Right. Yeah. And the reality is that all the religions that are out there today, it's written by men.
Yeah. So
they may have been God inspired, and I'm not going to take that away from them.
Yeah.
But it's all written by men, and we have reinterpreted it as men. So I think that it starts right here, and I think Justin agrees. It starts right here. It's not the religion that connects you with God. Yeah. It's your spirit that connects you with God. And your spirit is always with God and will be.
Yeah, it doesn't leave. Yeah, so many people have interpreted names in a variety of ways due to the culture and personal opinions. Yeah, yeah. James Kirkpatrick says Satan used to play hockey. His full name was Miroslav Satan, and he played for the Buffalo Sabres back in the day. Yeah, that's I don't remember where, but that's definitely Old Testament. I remember where it says that. Yeah. Let's see here. Dan Best says, I have another question. What to do if I'm asked about my... Let me just read it. Well, I'll be kicked out if I tell them I'm not a Christian, but I do believe in religion and higher power. Do I not talk about... It probably won't come up. They'll ask if you believe in a supreme deity or greater being, and you say, yeah. That's what it comes down to.
If that's your answer, then yes.
No, I believe in a supreme being.
And that's generally the questions don't have and what religion.
Personally, if I'm interviewing someone and someone tries to pry deeper, that's probably not okay. There's a lot of things I would pry deeper on in an interview. Not your religion. I wouldn't pry deeper on that. That's between you and God.
I agree.
But Devin McLean says it's the dogmatic ones that are huge turnoffs. Talking about religious people, and yeah. In that day-to-day stuff, I guess that'd be the dogma. Like it's not the dogma that gets you to heaven, or whatever.
Exactly. And I agree with that statement that he made. But I also want to make the point that we all have our own dogmas, and our own personal beliefs are our dogmas. So we even if it's different from the mainstream religious dogma that they're preaching at a certain church or whatever, we still have our own dogma about how we feel about things. Kind of like what I just said about Jesus and Kabbalah. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, guys. It was Super Bowl Sunday, so James, still is. James, I would no talking about it. So, James, I just want you to know I made some righteous tacos today, or actually tostadas, because I wanted tostadas instead of tacos. But I thought about you while I was making them, and they were delicious. I hope you tasted it in spirit.
We had a festival one time in Grandview, and we Justin Schultz went to Ponchos and brought a whole bunch of food from Ponchos just for James.
Nice.
James,
I love Ponchos.
James says
it's probably one of the
Rudyard. I always say it, Rudyard Kipling had 3 different masters confer his degrees of. There were 3 different religions: Hindu, Christian, and Islam, and the title was Hebrew. So.
Very cool.
And Charles Smith says, in Texas, you have to declare a belief in deity, immortality of the soul, and divine authenticity of Scripture. I'm not sure if the exact requirement of faith in Tennessee. John O says, I'm really glad I found your channel and podcast. I feel no one in my lodge except one other brother or even interested in deeper learning. First of all, I'm sorry to hear that you have that experience, but I am also glad you found us, John. And that was my experience as a young Mason. Was no one was interested in the same things I was interested in, and this was about 20 years ago, and this wasn't a thing. This did not happen. There was maybe 1 podcast, 2 podcasts, but podcasting wasn't even a big thing 20 years ago, and so it was a few random obscure pages I found on the internet. John. I always mispronounce his name. Nagy? You know who I'm talking about, Dennis? Nagy. John Nagy. He's been I'd like to have him on the show one day, but he was probably what brought me back from the edge. Just some of his videos early on that he had on his own page. But also there was a paper that came out. Golly, it was the Knights of the North that wrote it, and I actually talked about it on one of our last recent episodes. I'll have to find it. Knights of the North, but they wrote a paper of the North, and they wrote a paper which totally just resonated with me. And let's see here. Let's see if I can find it again. I can't. It's not showing up. It's. But they wrote a paper, and they actually came up with a sequel to it, a second version that's updated. Excuse me. And that, between those two, that's what brought me back.
That's why we really need to understand what we're a part of and where and who we are, so that we can present ourselves properly and be intelligent enough to have these discussions with these young men that are coming into our fraternity, because there is a lot of information out there and misinformation, and we need to be wiser with our esoteric studies. So many of these guys are reading about Hermetic principle, they're reading about these different about Kabbalah, and they see Freemasonry pop up, right? So, and they keep seeing this trend of different, authors over time and around the world that have written on these topics. And so these guys are coming in wanting to join, and all this guy can tell you is what temperature the fish should be when they put it in to fry.
Yeah.
And he walks out the door. So we need to get away from Masonry and back to Freemasonry.
I think that's why a lot of people have maybe not I'd say historically, but it depends on how historically far back you go. But I think that's why a lot of people have joined the Blue Lodge just to move on to just went off the, either they left the fraternity or they went on to York Rite or Scottish Rite. And I think, I'll be honest, I think that's why a lot of them left York Rite also, because York Rite,
it was too dogmatic in one way.
Well, maybe it was dogmatic, but also it wasn't having that kind of education they're looking for. We changed that at Hillsborough, but I think that's I don't think that's the norm at a lot of York Rites, unfortunately. I think we're getting away from that. I think we're getting more into education. But
yes, we are.
Let's see.
I'd like to point out that
Laudable Pursuit. Yes, Tyler. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was Laudable Pursuit by Knights of the North. Yes, that's what I was talking about. Thank you again, Tyler. Yeah, that was a great paper. I suggest if anyone is kind of in a funk, look it up and read it. Sorry, Dennis.
Yeah, all I was going to say is that because of the stigma that we have in Blue Lodge about it all being based on the Bible and the Holy Bible, the Christian Bible that's in most Texas lodges, because of that, I think that they believe that that's something they should be learning at church and not in lodge, because it's so focused on the Christianity portion of it. If that makes sense. If most people in your lodge are Christians and believe that one way, and then when automatically that lodge has the York Rite stigma in it, and so they're not so inclined to push the topics of the allegory, because then they might be contradictory to what their preacher is telling them in the Baptist church or the Methodist church or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Does
that make sense?
There's a reference. I haven't read Morals and Dogma because I'm waiting until I get my Scottish Rite degrees one day. But there's a reference, and I believe it's in Morals and Dogma, and he calls the first three degrees like porch masons, right? Like they haven't really come into the temple, and
right.
And I don't think that means. I don't disagree, but I don't agree with the mentality a lot of people have, because they think that because you're a porch mason, you haven't been exposed to the secrets, right? Like the real secrets lay within. That's not what he's talking about. I think there's a lot of brothers that come into the first 3 degrees and they see fish fries and fundraisers and low dues and fart jokes, and they're happy with that. They're content with that, right? That's what they want. They just want somewhere to go, and that's where they hang out. That's where they stay, right? But a lot of brothers,
lawn chairs on the porch.
Yeah, yes, but a lot of brothers.
It's a lawn chair. But I think chair masons.
But I think ultimately that's why so many brothers went to Scottish Rite and just kind of separated themselves from Blue Lodge and even York Rite, unfortunately, because they wanted something deeper in it. They weren't getting that in the other two bodies. And so we can fix that. But it has to be intentional, and you have to go against the paradigm in your organization, right?
Yeah, if Mott's is still on, we've been talking about the possibility of chartering a new lodge, and I'm right there with him. I would love to do that and try to make it the exact kind of lodge that I would want to be a member of.
Yeah.
And spend all my time there. I've got to tell you, and I love the brothers in my lodges, and I try to stay active, but they just don't want to. The majority does not want to feed themselves.
Yeah.
The majority just to go through the motion.
I mean, if we're being fully transparent, Dennis, like, I love my Blue Lodge brothers, but I'm focusing on York right now. Just
well, and that's the thing. That's why I'm in San Antonio so much, because I'm always at either Scottish Rite or York Rite.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say that it's strictly because you've got a few people that want it done a certain way, and they join every lodge to make sure it's done a certain way, and that way is fixing to die.
Yeah.
There are 3 of those lodges that they're a member of that's fixing to go downhill fast.
Well, probably the last 4 or 5 months, you might have noticed, like, if I'm talking about events and stuff going on, I'm talking about York Rite usually, right? Festivals, the charity stuff I was talking about, I'm talking about York Rite. That's because I'm in the East in York Rite, but also because we're doing things, right? I'll be frank, like this. First of all, small local Blue Lodge drama, I'm not into that. But also on the grand level, it just has me disinterested right now in that. But we could do good things in York Rite, and there's no drama, no issues. We just come together, and we're attracting people from a big radius, getting new members that way. That's what I'm excited about. That's something to be excited about. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now. There was a comment I wanted to... Go ahead.
While you're looking. Yeah, that's the entire reason why I moved my membership from McKinney down to San Antonio, because San Antonio is too big of a city to have 4 guys show up for a meeting. And that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we're working on we're going to work on the education and the instruction, schools of instruction, as well as supporting our sister lodge over in Seguin and making sure that we coordinate with each other, as well as the Brownwood or Cibolo chapters and councils. We'll just have to see about them. I mean, not everybody's excited about working with us because of some of the members that we've got, but that's the goal.
Yeah.
And that's the focus this year. We're doing 2 types of focus. One in Scottish Rite, which I'll talk a little bit about here in a little bit, and then of course what we've just been talking about with York Rite.
Yeah.
And I think our generation is coming in and starting to really boost.
Our generation or your generation?
People try to
So there's 2 comments I want to address. So John T. Thackeray says, being someone uninitiated and fatherless, I know I'm a problem. Living proof of the need for brotherhood. So I'm going to I don't know the actual numbers, but I was listening to I can't remember who it was now, but he was talking about the statistics, and so a lot of people have heard like children that grow up in divorced households are more inclined to break the law, become criminal, do drugs and things like that. Specifically, but we always focus on usually here when there's a divorce, the everybody ends up with the mother, right? And so the statistics were a boy or a girl being raised by a mother has a higher probability of going to jail and things like that. However, what we don't talk about is statistically, boys and girls that are raised with just a father have the same probability of going to jail as children that are raised with both a mother and a father, right? And so that is the importance of a male influence in your life, right? And that's not to diminish the importance of having a female influence. But statistically, if you're just raised by a mother or spend the majority of your childhood with your mother, you're gonna have a harder time as an adult. Boys and girls need a father figure in their lives, right? And so, getting to your point, that's something we offer. That's something we can offer. Not necessarily a father figure, but that mentor figure.
Well, the mentorship.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people that don't have both their parents. My mom died when I was 13. Mm. We don't have those different rites of passage. We don't. It's all different. Mm-hmm. because the other parent, you know, is either focused on their own journey trying to get their shit together, or they're just so busy because they're trying to afford you or me in my case. And so a lot of times we need our opportunities for rites of passage and our opportunities for certain camaraderie and apprenticeship type of learning. Mm-hmm. Is missing.
Yeah,
it's missing. And you know, I'm in love with my mentors, and they know it, because they've taken care of, you know,
poor Brad.
I know but they've been that father figure that I needed in some of the hardest points of my life in the last decade or so.
You're welcome. I know you look up to me. You're welcome.
Thank you, Justin.
So, Jason Rockenberg.
You're the only one I look down to.
Jason Rockenberg made a comment. I do agree that lodges should focus more on education, but it's easy to get caught up in the mundane business of keeping the lights on. Some of these guys who aren't esoterically minded are, let's see, did he finish that? Are,
I'm sure he did.
Hold on.
He's got a
are the same ones who fix things that break. So here's my mentality for like the Blue Lodge. You have to have business meetings. Every organization has to have business meetings. You can't avoid that. And the more things you're doing, the more business you have to discuss. That's a whole other thing. But hold on. But you can have education at your dinner, for example, right? Before the meeting or after the meeting. Or you could have a short one in the meeting. It doesn't have to be like a 2-hour Robert Marshall presentation, right? You don't have to go all the way down the rabbit hole. But something just to get people thinking. And going back, and I'll give you a minute here in a second. But going back to like York Rat, we don't have as much business because we are just tenants. We're just renting the lodge. We don't have building business to take care of. Which really, even thinking about my Blue Lodge, we don't have a whole lot of building business to take care of. But we just meet quarterly. And we have stated meetings quarterly, but we still meet every month. We have a called meeting every month. And that's when we practice, we have some kind of education, we still have a really good meal. And so my point is, like, you got to do what works best, right? You'll always have some magnitude of business that has to be addressed. That's just part of any organization. But you know, as I'm talking,
keep it to a minimal.
Yeah, keep it to a minimum. And as I'm talking, I'm thinking about my Blue Lodge, because my York Rat and my Blue Lodge leave the same building. Blue Lodge doesn't really do much more than my York Rat. In fact, it feels like my York Rat accomplishes more with less meetings. So maybe it's just the people, right? Because you got some people that aren't in York Rat. Maybe it's just the people that were able to get things done more smoothly. But your mileage may vary, is my point. And you have to adapt things according to your organization. But I think there's room for education. I think the benefit of the York Rat that we had is the York Rat moved away from Hillsboro for a while, and so it moved back to Hillsboro around the same time there was a merge, and so we kind of hit the reset button. With a Blue Lodge that's been meeting in the same place, doing the same thing for a long time, you're going to encounter those guys that don't want it to change. They don't want you to meet less often. They don't want you to have more education. They want to come and grab about the bills. I don't know why anyone would want to, but they want that. But my point is you have to have the operations, but there's room somewhere to fit the education in. Now you may talk.
Well, that's I agree. I think that every lodge should have education. I don't think it should be the 5-10 minute education in the lodge meeting. I think, by the way, this is me supporting Freemasonry. You like that? Got to go with it, brothers. But anyways, I think that there should be at least a 30-minute presentation because, you cannot give enough information to really make somebody think and then go right into paying the bills. How can you really reflect on what you just learned if you go straight into paying the bills or whatever? I know Jason probably just said something funny. No, that's why you're
James Kirkpatrick.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
By the way, I want to tell Brother Smith. Is he still on here?
Brother Smith? Tyler Smith?
Yeah.
Charles Smith. Which one? They're both here. They're both here.
They're both here. So I just want to thank the brothers Smiths from Lubbock for sending young Mason down to San Antonio and then calling me and asking to help find him a home. Man, that kid is sharp. And that's exactly what we're talking about. He's young and he's from Midland. He's from way out there, but he went to college in Lubbock and got to know the brothers there. And then they reached out when he moved down here to San Antonio. And man, this kid is all about esoteric knowledge. Nice. All about it. He already had, I told him.
Yeah, he says he's a great brother. Charles says that.
Yes, he is an awesome kid. I love him already. I sat with him for a couple of hours and drove him home and thought, man, are we lucky to have this kid come down? He's going to be good.
So,
he's going to be good.
RTZW says, I motioned to form the activities committee in my lodge, but no one seemed very interested. Only had one guy give me his phone number. Activities might be limited with my lodge. You know what you do, man? You get in touch with that brother and you go do something. And you take pictures and you post it to the district page. You post it wherever you can. Post it to your personal page if you're willing to. You start with what you got. You start with what you got. You build that momentum. Well, you don't have to visit a lodge. You can say, "Hey, we're going to go throw axes, or we're going to play top golf, or we'll go have a drink together, or just go eat, or do like a family thing where y'all go together." And start with what you got, and other people will see that, like, "Hey, these guys are having fun," and they may not be from your lodge. It may be from your district, or it may be other people outside your district. And anytime you have, this is what I've learned. Anytime you have a good thing going on, people will come, right? But you can't have a good thing going on if people don't know about it. And again, and I'm sorry for sound like a broken book here, but that's what we got going on right now with the York Rat, because we have brothers from Waco, which is like an hour away, joining the lodge in Hillsboro for the York Rat, because we have a good thing going on. And I mean, but you could do the same thing with the Blue Lodge. You could do the same thing with Scottish Rite. I'm not saying it's exclusive, but if you got something good going on, people will come. People will come, especially if, and I'm not calling anyone out in Waco, but especially if there's not a whole lot of good things going on in your area, then they'll come. And I'm not saying there's not good things going on in Waco. I'm just saying in general, if you're
obviously there was friction with it.
Do what?
Obviously there was deep-rooted friction, or they wouldn't have wanted to make that change.
Oh yeah. I mean, it goes back to that local drama. So I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
And it could be legitimate drama. It could be small things. Who knows? So James Kirkpatrick says, drive him to Sweet Home Lodge 576 at Arlington on Saturday at 1:30 p.m. They are doing a fellowcraft degree. So that sounds good. Top Golf is actually really fun. You know, we one of my lodges have talked about it. We haven't done it. And in Hillsboro, we used to have an axe throwing place, but we didn't go. We go out and eat every once in a while. But I mean, explore. It depends on who you got, right? We used to have an Irish pub in Hillsboro. We'd go after lodge and go hang out there, and you'd be surprised the brothers that would show up for that. I can't believe this guy's coming to having a beer, but you just work with what you got.
We used to do that in the square in when the lodge for McKinney, when St. John's was still on the square. There was a little pub diagonal from the lodge that we would go to and have beers and just sit and visit and talk about Freemasonry and it, is awesome. It's awesome.
The Lodge and Temple has an Irish pub. Is Austin still here? Austin what? They got an Irish pub like right across the street from their entrance. Have you been there? I know I asked you this.
Austin 12?
No. Temple. The Lodge and Temple. I can't remember the actual name.
Oh, the Lodge and Temple.
Yeah. No, I haven't. They have a pub right across the street, and it is nice. It's like, man, if we had something like that at Hillsboro, we would.
We have one right next door.
In Goliad?
Yeah, and we have the commercial street bar, and they have this big area behind the building that with tables to where you can sit and smoke cigars and drink and visit outside of the actual bar if you want to, and it's right behind our lodge.
Dan Best says, question: what is a Blue Lodge? Are there different names for different lodges? So, it depends on what you mean. It says, what is a Blue Lodge, and are there different names for different lodges? Typically, a Blue Lodge is referring to like a lodge that covers like the first 3 degrees. So like EA, Fellowcraft, Masters. Yeah, your basic lodge. Then you have your York Rite, your Scottish Rite. Blue Lodge is just kind of just referring to the initial lodge experience. Charles, let's see here.
That's something we really wouldn't want to talk about without you being a.
Yeah, I mean, there's just some esoteric meaning behind it, but it's generally just referring to not York Rite, not Scottish Rite. Even though you could say the Blue Lodge is technically York Rite, but we won't go into the details on that. But that's why I always say if you are a Master Mason in Texas, you should go ahead and go York Rite because you've already started that journey. But the whole Rite conversation is a whole.
And he only says that because he hasn't joined the Scottish Rite.
No, I would still.
He's not part of the university. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, well.
I know. I joined the York first because it is a direct. A direct history lesson with some allegory in it, or it's not really a history lesson, but it's a tie-in of.
So RTCW says, "What if Blue Lodge, York Rite, and Scottish Rite did some kind of merge?" All right. Well, you asked. So the first 3 degrees in Texas are York Rite historically, and also historically. Like the past master's degree was actually conferred when someone was seated as Worshipful Master, and the Royal Arch degree is technically the continuation of a master's degree. Historically in England, the Master Mason to be a Master Mason was you got the Master Mason degree and the Royal Arch degree. Yeah,
it still is 4.
As far as Scottish Rite, if we merge with Scottish Rite, you'd have a whole bunch of people come in expecting education. And they would butt heads with the people that don't want education, and they'd go off and start their own organization. So they'd be back where they were, right? But York Rite does have a lot of degrees that I wish we could. I mean, we can. I just wish we still did. Like the past master degree, I think it'd be really cool. And my goal is one day, hopefully, our York Rite can start doing it. Is when someone is installed, you confer the past master degree on them. James says, in my view, we are already merged. We are one. That's the answer of someone that's going to be running for the Grand South in a few years.
Making himself available. They don't run.
That's a safe answer. But yeah, he's right. He's absolutely right.
In fact, I don't think that James could run fast enough or far enough. Not with his taco habit.
But what were you gonna say? I didn't mean to interrupt you too much.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Oh no, I don't have anything. I thought you were gonna say something.
No, I was just gonna say that the difference between it can't happen and they're not merged together as far as James is concerned. I disagree with you, James. Brother Kirkpatrick, let me be as eloquent as possible. They're not already merged. They're not already merged. Here, let me put my teeth in. They're not already merged because the Scottish Rite degrees are a different style of degree. It brings more of the alchemical side of Freemasonry.
He's referring to the lessons being intertwined.
Well, in some ways, yeah, but in some ways.
Okay. Well, I agree with you.
For the first,
I agree with you, James Kirkpatrick. Running for the Grand South in 2025, by the way. I agree with you. No, I joking. I do think that I think as one organization, not one organization, but as one common mass, a society of friends and brothers. I think we're united.
As a brotherhood, we should. Yeah. Yes, we absolutely should be. But in Texas, we're not allowed to practice the Scottish Rite degrees. The first three, we're not allowed.
Charles Smith says
not even in the Scottish Rite.
Charles Smith says, our York Rite actually made that offer. We will travel to each lodge in the district and confer the virtual past master degree on the incoming master. It's a great lesson. I love that, man. I love that. I think that's great.
They're doing good things in Lubbock. They really are.
Love it. Yeah, they got some good guys over there. Yeah. They got that fluffy dude. That fluffy guy. By the way, have you listened to Fluff's podcast, his first episode?
No, I didn't listen to it yet.
He does a good job. He's very good at putting together. It's very professional. It's not what you and I do. It's very professional. It's very good. It's very good. I don't know if he's going to do interviews or how he has planned, but I enjoyed it. But then again, he also approaches from a different perspective than we do because he's very Christian, right? And I'm not saying that I'm not or anything, but that he wears it on his sleeve. And I don't mean that rudely. Right, I'm just saying he approaches the content differently than we do. And that's why I always say there's plenty of room for everybody. There's always plenty of room for everybody in the podcasting world. Because the way Dennis would probably make a podcast is different than mine. The way I do it. Mine wouldn't suck. Yeah,
mine would be a little more intelligent.
but different. Everyone has different flavors of Freemasonry that they enjoy. Charles Smith says he strives to make it great and entertaining. Yeah. He does. He included conversations from TikTok onto his podcast. Like clips with people. So it was good. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. It was very good. So I would encourage anyone.
I look forward to.
I would encourage anyone, if you haven't listened to Fluff's podcast, to do so because it is good. I enjoyed it. It gets my approval. Not that it matters. For whatever that's worth.
No, I'm glad for it.
Yeah. And someone asked earlier, sorry I missed it. Someone asked when we're going to have him back on our live, and we should probably do that sometime too. Maybe just to push his podcast out.
Right.
Let's see. There's some conversation going on here. Let's look here. So James Kirkpatrick. So the 15th degree ties to the Red Cross. 16th degree is Scottish Rite ties to the chapter of Royal Arch Masons. 14th degree tied very much to sacred history of the RAM. 28th degree ties to the Order of Malta. Lots of examples of Scottish Rite ties to. I mean, he's 33rd. I'm not going to argue with him about Scottish Rite. He knows more than I. He knows more about Scottish Rite than I ever probably will.
No,
the Royal Arch.
You'll learn.
the Royal Arch degree in York Rite is totally different from Royal Arch. This is Blues Journal. The Royal Arch degree in York Rite is totally different from the Royal Arch degree in Scottish Rite. In Scottish Rite, it's a 7. In York Rite, it's a 7. In Scottish Rite, it's a 14th Yes, different, but the lessons intertwined and unique. I don't know anything about the Scottish Rite, guys. I apologize. So I can't contribute to that conversation. But
well, they're all it's all just a just allegorical teaching.
Yep.
Just like everything else. And you know, my goal is to see every degree I can and before I die, because every one of them has a lesson to learn.
Yeah. The degrees at AMD Day were really. You didn't go last year, did you? I hope to go this year. When's AMD Day in Waco? Is that usually in the summer?
It's usually in May, I think.
Oh, hopefully I can go then.
May or June.
The good thing about going back to teaching is the summers I can do a lot more. So yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah,
I would like that. Oh, Devin McClain's using.
I really.
Go ahead.
I enjoyed AMD Day.
Yeah, it was fun. We got some. I don't remember what degrees we got, but there was bread involved in one of them. It was good. Good times.
Yep.
So I enjoyed that.
And did you do the?
Oh, June 2nd and 3rd. That'd be great.
Are you Order of the Corks?
No, I have not. I have not started the cork
and
journey
not,
yet.
And not the bathtub degree either.
No. I don't think
then
so.
You haven't done it.
Oh.
Then you haven't done
the corks.
Day. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. I forgive you. Don't worry, Dennis doesn't know much about this. Jason Rockenberg. Don't worry, Dennis doesn't know that much about the Scottish Rite either. Yeah, I figured. He's just talking just to talk. Blues Journal. Do you still receive that which was lost in the Royal Arch Scottish Rite? I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess he's talking to chat because I don't know. Speaking of summer, second ever outdoor Order of the Temple near Lubbock coming this summer. Man, I really want to go to that. So we just had 8 again. Sorry, we just had 8 guys from Hillsboro go receive the orders in Fort Worth last weekend. So I'm hoping to bring a lot of them to Lubbock for that. I'd like to go if I can, because first of all, it looked awesome last year.
Lubbock.
Yep.
I want to go to that too.
Yeah. But I'm hoping to bring.
What's the date for
that? I don't see the date. But man, these guys, I gotta tell you, dude. So, I kept telling these guys, like, you gotta go Commandery because the Order of the Temple is just beautiful. It's fantastic. It is an amazing degree. Like, you will enjoy it. And there was even one guy. He was like, "Well, I don't know if I really want to do it or not." And the other guys talked him into it. And that day, he was like, "Man, I'm so glad that I did it." We got a group chat, a York Rat group chat going on. And they're talking about uniforms, trying to get the Commandery open. And like, they're pumped up, man. Commandery's awesome. Right. It's awesome. I'm not huge on the drill, right? But the degrees are awesome. And I think the potential to have a lot of fun with it is there. So they're excited, man. So my point is, first of all, if you're not York Rat, go York Rat, but definitely don't stop before you go through Commandery because those degrees are awesome. Or orders, not technically degrees.
That's the degree that most of us thought we were going to get in Blue Lodge. It really is.
Yeah,
it really is, and it speaks to the seriousness of why we're here.
So Tyler Smith says, let's get a group together and go to Latham Springs. That could be fun to watch. Tyler, I'm sorry, I didn't see what you're talking about. What are you talking about Latham Springs? I know where it's at, but I don't know what's going on at Latham Springs you're talking about. So I apologize. I haven't been to Latham Springs. So Latham Springs is like a church camp in Hill County. I think it's in Hill County. It's between just north of Waco. I used to go there when I was a kid. It's pretty cool, but I don't know what he's talking about. Just giving. Yeah. Charles Smith says he believes it's in October. I'm not sure. Well, I'm sure as we get closer to the date, we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Blues Journal is his brother Blue from the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge, California, I assume. CA? Yes, California. Yeah. Very cool. We got people from California showing up here now.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have a few Prince Hall members as well that show up regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome that we're able to reach and to bridge the gap, man.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be anyway.
We've
should all be.
We've already had 118 views this evening. Despite how late
Wow.
And interestingly, so Brother Reyna, his vigil we had, that's already, let me pull that up because the numbers are impressive. That's already at 327 views. I mean, nice. That's huge.
Brothers, if y'all watch anything, go to the live tab on our YouTube channel and go to that particular show and watch it, because we did record it, and so go watch it and donate. Click on the tab underneath. We're not making any.
Are you talking about for his funeral arrangements? Yeah.
Yes, but we're challenging everybody to match our $100 to make sure that his family can get to the funeral. And one of his sisters lives in Hawaii, in Maui.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
No, that's his cousin. I'm sorry. But she lives in Maui, so it's not so easy for her to just jump on a plane and get here. So the money is not just going to go to pay for the funeral arrangements, but it's going to go to helping the family come in and be a part of it as well.
By the way, if any of you in the chat were at the vigil, thank you, because Dennis and I both got. I mean, we're still getting feedback from the family and the friends of the family of they needed that. They needed it, and so yes. John O says he was there. Thank you. It meant a lot to them.
So was Reichenberg. Yeah, so was Reichenberg.
Oh, Reichenberg.
I think that was, and not because of what we did, but because we were able to show everybody else what was happening in Austin, New Braunfels, and all around the country with his family getting on and all. That was Freemasonry at its finest, coming in and just wrapping their arms around the family of Brother Paul, and that was the most beautiful thing to witness.
Yeah,
I got to tell you,
Charles.
So please go and donate, brothers.
Tyler Smith says we can visit all Prince Halls. The whole AF and AM thing kind of throws me off. What do you actually need? Is it? I know it's a different jurisdiction. Do you need like a letter of good standing from the Grand Lodge to go? Do you know?
You might, but I don't. I don't think it.
That's a Justin Duty question. But I'll tell you, Tyler, because full disclosure, Tyler's a member of my lodge. Tyler, if you, I know this one in Waxahachie. If you decide to go, let me know. I'd like to come. But I think that's the closest one is in Waxahachie. There might be one in Corsicana, maybe. I'd have to look, but I know there's one in Waxahachie.
I would call them and ask them what they require.
Yeah.
Because they may just ask you for your dues.
Yeah, I mean just maybe a dues card or whatever.
Because
they may actually grill you like we're supposed to. So.
Oh gosh, I hope that, because I know that they would be far more advanced than we are.
Oh yeah, they would.
And not trying to be ugly, guys. That's proof's in the pudding.
Yeah. I secretly thought that was a big, and I still think maybe there's something to it. There's a reason why recognition was so hard to get was because most Prince Hall lodges and Masons hold themselves to a much higher standard, from my experience, and so we didn't want to recognize them because then you kind of open the floodgate and you're seeing Masons that are dressing nice for lodge and taking things seriously and stuff like that, and
with very high expectations.
Yeah,
they have high expectations for their brothers, and that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, John O says you can really tell the family love, the support, and the love. Yeah, definitely. And you could see their demeanor change over time, like Jason Rockenberg.
I've already watched it again and cried again.
Jason Rockenberg says, I wish I'd got to know Paul. My thoughts are not for myself, but I know many brothers' lives he affected and how his passing affected them. Yeah, yes, I wish I could have got to know him too. And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, right? But Paul definitely exuded like this very positive, constant positive energy, right?
Yes.
But if you look at like, so did Robin Williams, right? It's the people that are smiling the most and exerting the most energy. Sometimes you don't know what's going on inside them, right? And so hopefully we'll have Brother Hill come on sometime soon. We'll talk about mental health, just the importance of that.
He's already agreed to it. We'll just have to figure out the time. I'm sure you agree. We both want to give him a little time to get through this.
Well, it needs to be soon while it's still timely. But yeah.
Right. But that was his best friend, so we need to let him grieve just a little bit more.
I agree.
In the next week or two.
James Kirkpatrick says, I think Justin Duty has done really impressive things to enhance the Grand Secretary's office. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. He has done a lot to modernize the Grand Secretary's office, and I don't know where he was going to go, but he will be missed in the Grand Secretary's office next year, for sure.
We already know it's been announced.
What do you mean?
He's available. Hey.
Ooh.
Hey.
I didn't know that got announced. Tyler Smith says. Tyler Smith says, well, we all know that if you're named Justin, you're already going to be an outstanding Mason. I mean,
oh my god.
You got Justin Jones, you got Justin Schultz, you got
you
Justin
obviously
Duty.
Did post Brother Giles Fonda Yates that I had posted.
I don't read your stuff, dude. I have to listen to you.
How it is, guys.
I have to listen to you twice a week. I don't want to read your stuff too.
You know, there's only a few good Masons in this world, and they all have the last name Yates. And
let's see. Tyler Smith says, last time I looked, I was going. I was told I had to be invited. I'm curious who told you that. Like if it was someone there, or what. But
you have to be invited to the Prince Hall.
That's what you're saying. I think it was probably a misunderstanding. I mean, I'm not saying it's outside the realm, but maybe. But I'd be interested in going. Let's see. Blues Journal. I'm a California Prince Hall Mason, so my recognition does go a little bit further than other Prince Hall Masons, depending on their state. Yeah. It's unfortunate that it's not just universal all across the United States, which makes it confusing depending on what state you're in, unfortunately. But hopefully one day we'll all modernize our mentalities.
Right. Yeah, that's just like Duty did with Grand Secretary's office. He brought it into this millennium.
Yep.
Which was good, and you know when he's on the floor with his astounding 1,700 votes to the 400 for the opposing people, then that just shows how good of a job he's done and how everybody appreciates what he's done for our fraternity.
Yeah. Sure. Yep. A young man running for the Grand Lodge. Well.
Yeah. He is available. He's making himself available for the Grand South. That is a known thing. It's already been posted on the Book of Faces.
Okay.
And so that's why I posted today who we support. The last pictures that you see on my post from today, that's who we support.
I didn't see any pictures of James Kirkpatrick, Dennis. You fix that.
Well, you know what? He's got a couple more years.
2025.
Yeah, if
we got 2 years to fix it, man. Fix that. But yeah,
when it's time, I will.
I'll say all I will say is a young man running for the Grand South. It will be very interesting to see how smoothly that goes. Just leave it at that. But I would like to see him, but I don't know. We've seen how dramatic things can be when Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So,
well,
but
I'm going to touch on that real quick. Brothers, stop acting like you don't know what's going on, because it gave us a black eye, and we got to stop acting like we just want it to go away.
Yeah, it's not going to go
because
away.
if we do that, it's going to get worse. If we make sure and be assertive at the proper time, then this is going to be one hell of a year. The next annual communication, and then following that, it's just going to get better. It's just going to get better. So, brothers, everyone listening to us, just do the right thing.
I know us as Texas Masons, we are very hesitant to speak up because of threats, right?
Yeah.
But evil.
There was a threat right there on the paper.
Evil thrives when good men stand and do nothing, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying anyone is evil, but evil ideas, evil actions, they or even just selfish actions thrive when good men do nothing.
Especially when the masses do nothing.
Yeah. And
because that's all it takes. That's all it takes is people to start, getting real with it.
Yep. Anyway, well, it's getting late, and
how late is it?
11:24, and so, I'm getting a little froggy. So.
Well, let me say one more thing real quick about the Mason versus Freemason thing, because I got called out.
I never heard you say anything real quick, but okay.
I got called out online with the post that I made about Mason versus Freemason, and I got called out by brothers from Grand Lodge of England, and stating that I wasn't factual and this and that, and the only reason that it wasn't factual is because I wasn't writing it to write a history paper. I was writing it to tell people, look, there's a difference between Masonry and Freemasonry, speculative, free, and accepted Masonry. And back in the day, the Freestone Masons traveled, and they were able to earn more wages or better wages, but they were also the masters, right? So they had leveled up. There's the guys that are in the quarry, and I said this on one of my replies, is that anybody can create a square if they have a cube, if they have a square in their hand, and level it off. Anybody can do that in the quarry. Anybody can. It doesn't take any special skill to do that. You don't have to have this great knowledge. You don't have to have this secret epiphany to help you do that. You just do the manual labor. To be the master of the craft, now that's a whole different subject. And that's where Freemasonry, that's where speculative, ancient, and accepted Freemasonry is the important term that we need to remember. Because when that happened, when other men started coming in that weren't tradesmen, they were philosophers. They were, different people and literate people in society that formed to better the community, better the world. So we got to remember, we are Freemasons. We are accepted speculative Freemasons. We are not just Masons. And the reason why we have the problems of today with people making ignorant decisions is because we allowed people with the thought of Masonry into the lodge instead of allowing Freemasons into the lodge, if that makes sense. Because we don't have the masters making the decisions. We have people from the quarry making decisions. And how can they make decisions if they can't see the big picture? Anybody can cut a stone and make a cube, but it takes the master knows how to place that cube into position to create this cathedral that's going to last 100, 200, 300, 400 years, right? So there's a difference. So it's time we level up. We should be the leaders.
Yeah. Good job.
Freemasons.
Good job. Well done. That said, a few things just to wrap up because it is getting late.
Yeah,
we do. Just a reminder, we do have the Masonic Summit coming up September 16th. That's going to be in Corpus Christi, Texas. It's going to be a great time. I'm looking at. Me and Des hadn't talked about it lately, but we have discussed looking at doing possibly some members only content aside from what's already out there. Looking at maybe doing like a members only live stream on YouTube like this, or possibly even like a members only Zoom where it's only members, they come to the Zoom and we just discuss live instead of through chat. We discuss live whatever issues you're dealing with or whatever you want to talk about Masonically.
Let's do that next weekend.
Next weekend instead of this, or
if
what?
You're able to. Yeah, with this live, let's invite all of our actual members to the next live. If you're available.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing it exclusive for members.
Right, that's what I mean.
No. So not live, but we'll do it on Zoom. We'll do it on Zoom. Yeah, and just release that. Okay. So first of all, it'd be a Zoom with members, right? So we could send them the link, and then we could record that and post it for members only also, but it's just strictly only for members. But we could also do like what you're talking about sometime, where we have the members come on to the Zoom and we do it live. I mean, that's fine too. We could do either one, man. I mean, we got options. We got options here. But we'll discuss that more, just not here. But we'll get that ironed out. And finally, again, thanks. I'd like to thank our newest member that joined Masonic Improvement, Paul Hackney. Yeah, if you're still around, if you'll message us your email. For those of you that haven't yet or jumped on after, there's a pinned comment in the chat with the link to become a member. There is exclusive content already posted. Like the last episode I posted was 20 minutes long, but the full video is 3 hours long and it's for members only. But also we're doing like what we're talking about. We'll probably start doing members only Zooms and stuff too. So if you'd like that, yeah, Jason Rockenberg says he could assault Dennis directly. Yeah, man. I mean, that's what I do. It'd be great.
I dare you. You see how quick your career ends after that.
Who are you talking to?
I'm not Reichenberg.
Okay. Oh, you guys need to hug it out again. Yeah.
You can just go back to the Elks, sir.
Oh man, the Elks.
He is a member of the Elks. They have an awesome setup.
Yeah, I've been to Elks Locks one time. Blues Journal says great channel squares. I'm definitely a new subscriber. I wish you brothers nothing but love and prosperity, foot to foot, my brothers. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you coming on. Good to have California Prince Hall represented here.
Yes, absolutely. That is awesome. We're grateful.
Charles Smith says,
tell your brothers to come and see us.
Charles Smith says, no fear here. He'll do it. He has to have a career for you to destroy it. So yeah. All right.
Nice. Yeah. I love it.
All right, everybody. Y'all take care. Thanks for hopping on. Have a good week.